Hey happy human, how's it going? It's officially 2023 and I'm so excited to be back in the YouTube arena. If you're a marketing nerd like me, you've probably gotten all the articles of 2023 predictions, trends, and all that jazz in between. It's a lot to go through and I totally get it. I've combed through 50 plus different articles, everything from Forrester to Social Media Examiner, all of the different articles in between I have looked through to figure out what are the biggest trends and things to consider going into this year. So we will be diving into all of that. But first, before we dive in, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button because in my next video, I will be talking through how all the social media platforms stack up against each other. Who will be king by the end of this year? Is it TikTok? Is it YouTube Shorts? We don't know. You have to subscribe in order to find out. So stay tuned and let's dive in. Before we dive into the different trends and tactics that you need to be considering in 2023, let's talk about the consumer because that's the most important person that we need to be caring about, not how the algorithm changes and pleasing the algorithm gods. It's about your consumer. And we're seeing a shift in creating change at an individual level. Let me explain. Since the pandemic, a lot of people have reshifted what they care and value about the most. Gone is the materialistic board game of life and enter the open world exploration like Legend of Zelda games. And what that means is that people really care less about transactional features and what you're satisfying and really about why a company exists, why a company is making impact in the world, and how they as a consumer is contributing in making impact in the world. What they care about most than ever this year is about figuring out who they are, not what society dictates that they are. And you're seeing this on social. TikTok released their TikTok trends report, and what they saw in 2022 was by traditional milestones, insert hashtag my journey. Gone is the focusing on the hustle, insert hashtag slow living. Gone working out of the office, hashtag digital nomad. We're seeing that happening more and more. And what this means is that consumers are also having higher expectations in how they interact with businesses, right? Now, if you've been reading the last 2 years of reports, you've heard the saying called conscious consumers, where a consumer is not just trying to buy a product to satisfy a transactional need. They realize that they have the power in where they spend their money on supporting companies that are doing a larger good. Consumers want to feel like a company is talking to them, not just trying to manipulate them into a sale, but actually genuinely cares about what they're offering as a service or product to their consumer. And people want people to be real. Like literally, there is a BeReal app. People don't want the perfect picture anymore. They want real people. And if being real or being human or these expectations is not getting you to reconsider how you're doing your marketing strategy, let me double down on this. We are entering a recession, and how you build loyalty in a recession is by connecting at a human level, a emotional level, a loyalty building level with your consumer. If you're only connecting with them at the transactional need, the next time someone comes at a lower price, they will beat you out of that role. And if you have restructured your messaging to be more human-centered, to show as a company that you are creating larger impact on it, let me be very clear. It's not just what you say, it's what you do. The Gen Z generation that is coming into major buying power, they don't care about just what you say. They care about the receipts, the actions they want you to show. And if you're only just saying that you're eco-friendly and you don't have the ability to back it up, you have to be very careful because this younger generation, these are the subject matters that are hot button issues that they're genuinely passionate about. And if they sense that you are being ingenuine in how you're actually putting actions behind your words, there is a higher chance that you're going to be dead to this Gen Z generation that can harm you. And so what does all that mean? It means that consumers expect for you to connect and communicate with them at a human level. And that also shows up in your customer service. Consumers are not just expecting a timely response, especially in intimidating industries where someone has a lot of questions and they want a real person to talk to, whether that's your Instagram or email or calling you. Be available, because you could lose someone to another competitor if you just don't have the bandwidth to answer a DM on Instagram. Well, let's actually acknowledge something really important, is that the social media industry is changing. Historically, social media apps are a place where people can communicate and talk to each other and build connection. However, the media in social media is now apparent. Social media is a media industry. These applications are designed for entertainment purposes with an option of social forum engagement down below, but it's less about the social and more about the entertainment. And TikTok even calls themselves an entertainment platform. That's why their algorithm is so popular and so addictive. It is designed for watch time, and it's shifted completely the way that the social media apps choose to reign supreme, because the number one thing for every single tech application out there is user retention and time on app. And the number one way is, you know it, video watch time. It means that the content that people care about is, you heard it, either for entertainment, education, or inspiration. It's not about sales anymore, ladies and gentlemen, so it's time to get creative. The key specific topics that consumers are really interested in going on an app for are these 4 key things. Seeking joy through humor and relaxing content, so that entertainment side that we talked about. Knowing that they're not alone in their journey. Seeing other relatable content that is out of the mainstream norm. Gen Z is the first generation that actually anti-mainstream to the extreme and prefer to care about subculture. Part of that individuality is exploring new items that are different from the standard, and also new ideas that are out there, and being able to specifically hearing that from another human being. So not being talked at, talked with is a different type of content changes that you're also seeing. And most importantly is being able to meet other people in this community, right? So if we're starting to see a shift of our consumers resetting their values, figuring out their individual vibe, wanting to be in more subcultures than in mainstream, because mainstream doesn't really exist anymore, what you're starting to see is this growth of what we call subcultures. So if you are a Star Wars, Star Trek person in that world, you get this. It's the fandom, it is the community. And what we're seeing now is the cottagecore people, the musical nerds people, the tired mom community, the tired dad community, everything in between has a subculture, and an individual consumer can be part of multiple subcultures, but it's about being able to tune into a very specific style of human being as your ideal audience. Another big industry shift that I do really want to heavily emphasize is that social media has entered the search engine game. Yes, 40% of Gen Zers actually choose to search on TikTok over Google, and you're starting to see Google react to this as well. Google has actually changed to where if you go on their search terms, they actually show videos first, because they understand people don't want to be clicking through 10,000 sponsored links anymore. And so things are shifting in a very dramatic way. For a content creator, having keyword optimized captions is way more powerful than adding 10,000 hashtags at the end. Hashtags are pretty much getting irrelevant, and it's all about how you insert keyword captioning, and most importantly is captioning the videos that you are taking. People read and watch things on silent more too, and so it helps you in a variety of different ways. So we've talked about the consumer changes, and we've talked about how the industry has shifted in dramatic ways. Let's talk about how all of that changes into your marketing mix. And the first one is welcome back, original organic content. I've waited so long. Like, we are no longer about advertising. If you've noticed in the last couple years with the insane influx of content and competition, advertising has gone up the roof. And what we've seen is brands that rely majority on advertising started tanking in performance because they weren't actually converting those ads into loyal returning customers. And that is the key piece of business, is that you can advertise as much as you want, but if no one's coming back through the door again, you've basically just wasted that return on investment. And if you're curious about what all that means, I do have a ROI of marketing. So organic content is back, but very specifically video. Yes, if you have thought that video is just trend, no, my friends, it's here to stay. And to my point earlier on, it's not just about that trend video. Yes, trend videos are okay to still do to help grow awareness, but the content that gets people to continuously want to follow and consume your content is your original content. And that's not surface level trends. It is content that is designed for your community, your specific subculture style community that will resound with them, that either entertains, educates, or inspires them. If I can't emphasize it enough, if you do a trend audio and you catch someone's attention, but then all of your other content is just trends, they're going to stop following you. But if you do content that they resound with, the trend will catch their attention and then they'll actually follow you if you have content that they want to continuously watch. Because, like we said, social media is a media platform. Think of all the different media that you consume. Why do you follow someone? Because you like the content that they're creating. So that being said, the reason why this content is going to be so much more effective than an ad is that traditionally ads are same ad distributed across a variety of different platforms. So it's actually not tailored to the audience. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, that's like a lot of extra work. But you have to understand is that your consumer has multiple different social media apps on their phone, and they all go to them for a variety of different reasons. For example, someone could be going onto their Instagram to be able to get like hashtag lifestyle goals. So those people that give them the inspiration, kind of like a Pinterest board, but in more like passive content style way. And then they go over to TikTok because they want the actual DIY version that feels a little bit more relatable that they can do. And then they go to Twitter to check their news, or they go to LinkedIn to network with people for business purposes. And maybe they'll check in to see what grandma is doing on Facebook. And as a marketer, it's your goal that when you're building the ideal audience persona, that you are tracking what platform that they interact with your brand on that gets them over to your website. Yes, there is a reason why it's no longer the one superhuman social media manager and it's actually a marketing team, but you can be a little bit smarter about how you're actually distributing this form of content. If you have a long form content that you are pointing people back to on a blog, on a website, on a YouTube channel, you can actually split your content up and then divvy it out. Real people create real actions taken off the platform. 72% of the people that actually took a off platform action, aka like going to an Amazon shopping link or something like that, did it from a creator that they trust. So it's literally the YouTube effect that has started since 2010 with beauty gurus, where you build relationship with them. They are relatable, they are personable. Keynote, real relatable people. They allow you to build that trust. When they recommend a product to you, you actually are willing to check out the product and check out the price, because that person who comes across like a friend to you online, they're giving you advice on something that they've tried for you, so you don't have to. That means show, don't sell. Not only are they relatable, which makes someone want to continuously watch them, but they're adding value in a way where that person doesn't feel like they're being sold to all the time. It's the edutainment effect, which is where we are consuming content that is educating, inspiring, or entertaining us, and we're actually getting tidbits of it and seeing the product in action along the way. Because our brains have been wired to know when an advertisement is happening. Like, we're becoming more aware of when it's like a branded sponsored post or anything like that. And if our creator is not adding value on top of the ask of sell, then there's no reason why someone should follow them. And all this talk about being relatable and real people connecting to real people leads, which is the new definition of UGC content. So in the past innocent years of the internet, UGC traditionally stood for user-generated content not created by the brand, but by the actual consumer. So it's real visual representation of word of mouth. And what we've seen though is this new evolution called the UGC Creator. And this is a creator who's on the payroll of the brand to create content on the brand's page. And why is this happening? It's because creating the perfect reel and the YouTube short or whatever video content is an art form. So it is actually smarter for brands to work with a pool of content creators that they have seen the work of and do really well on the internet and use them to create content for them versus building in a full in-house team. Now, if you're wondering how this is becoming an evolution, is to understand that it takes a lot to be a profitable content creator of your own brand on the internet. And yes, you're starting to see more and more a shift of some of the creators that have gotten really big over the last couple of years. They're actually creating their own brand with their own merchandise or specific content behind a paywall. And a lot of people don't realize is that you are your own business owner when you're a content creator. And that in and of itself is not designed for everyone. And that's totally okay. Creators can still be in their zone of genius of creating amazing content while being on the payroll of a larger brand and being able to pay and subsidize their content and their freedom of time along the way. And this evolution makes it perfect for even smaller to mid-sized companies to be able to work a pool of content creators that is creating content that is optimized for these specific platforms. The most important trend that we should be looking at, which is community building. Yes, we've talked about community building every single year. In the previous years, it was about how do you build a digital space when you couldn't meet them in person. And now, as we're having these hybrid real in-person events again, people are wondering, are communities still valuable? And the answer is yes, obviously. Community building is actually one of the best functions to drive this standum love. And Gen Zs are here for the standums. In community building, it's all about engagement. In community building, you're building that stand-in, that loyalty that turns a passive customer into an avid, loyal fan that will constantly talk about you, buy from you, and bring a friend along the way. So we have talked about all the trends. It's a lot of information. And like I always say, influence happens one drop at a time. And that starts with key specific things that you need to be doing and knowing what measures success. All of these items are ideas and places for you to try new things, but it's all about whatever you decide to tackle first is based first and foremost on what you count as success. And still to this day, the best metrics are engagement, followers, and website traffic, which really reflects your customer journey. If you want to learn more about what counts as ROI, what's a great customer journey, I will link both of those videos down below. But most importantly, what will help you decide what to do next is your long-term goal. I ended with the community building as the final trend because that is part of the long-term goal. It is a tactical manifestation of what your end community could look like. If you're only focused on selling people, start asking yourself, how do I get them to come back through the door? How is my community starting to get built? Those are the key questions that you ask. Alrighty, y'all, I know I've gone over a ton of information. I hope this has been helpful for you to get all the highlights of upcoming trends and things that you should be considering. If you're interested in seeing how all the different social media platforms can rank in competing against each other, who will be the #1 social media platform going into at the end of the year and my predictions for those, I highly suggest you hit that like and subscribe button. I will be presenting that video to you very soon. Until then, have a deep breath. Remember, influence happens one drop at a time, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.